a long time ago, I used to work for corporate, and it was a very fun job, actually, particularly that I was working for chocolate marketing, you know, Milka chocolate. That was delicious. I love chocolate, so I could have chocolate every day. And yet, here I am here. So one element that I was really longing for was this deep sense of meaning, you know, like really, it was really important for me to know that what I'm doing is meaningful and that I truly contribute. And I didn't have this sense with the work that I was doing. So I was kind of thinking about it, but I had no idea what I could do. And what I decided to do was this, you know, visionary or dream thing of taking a round the world trip and finding out, discovering who I am. Yeah. So I took sabbatical from my work. I took a backpack and I went traveling. And it was really exciting, it was beautiful. I saw many places, met many people, and I still had no clue. So, and actually a month before I returned, my boss called me and asked when I was coming back. They actually, again, needed someone, and I returned, same position, same desk, everything the same. So I was like, damn, now what? But actually, I had this sense of, okay, I can do things. And so I came there from a different energy. And about 2 weeks later, I got a newsletter about a program in Poland just starting. It was a school of trainers for personal development based on nonviolent communication. And I was like, what is this nonviolent communication? Yeah, like, is it about not hitting people or what? So I started to read, and it was like, oh my God, like it was like a recognition, I would say. So what hit me was something around all people sharing the same needs, and that even if I don't like someone's behavior, there is an underlying need, and actually people's behaviors make sense, but that people, and including me, that we choose strategies that are just tragic. And if we tap into the needs, we can connect. So I was really into getting there. I needed to go through an enrollment process, and I got in, and it was like really finding my thing. It felt like, okay, this is what I felt inside of me and what I sensed, but I felt alone in that for many years, or I didn't have the language, I didn't have a way to like put it together. And then as I started to learn, I started to discover more and more. And in particular, what I started to discover was this aspect of feeling, you know, like right now, looking back, I realized that when I started off, I was pretty much frozen with my feelings. You know, I couldn't feel much, like in my body. And yeah, of course, I didn't know what it was that I needed. But like really step by step, I started to practice. I also met people. So I'm really excited about this possibility that NVC gives of meeting people with whom you can practice, and you can even have fights, but so in such a different way than what I was used to, you know, just having a sense, okay, something is going on, and let's look at that together. So one of my closest friends come from these early days. It was 2008 when I started. 2014, I got certified. In the meantime, actually, I gave birth to two of my children, and there are 13 and 15 right now, and I find them such amazing teachers, you know, like both pressing my buttons, but also showing me this human innocence, you know, like how a person can be before they have all of these funny ideas put in their head. And also becoming a mom gave me this pause. So I used to complain about it, like, you know, how women, if they want to give birth, need to stop and take this pause. And right now I see this as a possibility to actually look around and spend some time discovering, so who am I? This was also a question that I needed to ask myself when I had this, you know, little one in my, so who am I now, right? If I can't do this work, if there's this little one asking for my attention, like almost constantly. So this also helped me deepen my practice and eventually choose to switch. So after I became mom for the second time, I never returned to my office job, but I started to combine motherhood and taking steps in offering workshops. I worked at that time particularly, I supported a kindergarten. I still do, but now I have way less time. So a kindergarten and a nursery. So that was a very beautiful time of witnessing children at this very young age up until 6 and supporting the adults who were with them and seeing what made sense, really, like what was really supporting and how to be an adult, you know, how to be a mature adult and be present with these little beings. Yeah, and all the while I was learning and I was developing what I now like to call embodied NVC.
Thank you for your story. There's a lot I didn't know already, so nice to hear. And well, maybe 1, 2, 3 reactions about how this resonates for you or what it does to you, just to have some exchange. Winifred?
Yeah, I heard you telling about having children and practicing NVC. I got really jealous about it. So my aim is to be a grandmother. Practicing NVC. Yeah, since my children are already grown ups. Yeah, wonderful idea. Also, really sweet, I think.
Thank you, Winifred. That's it?
Yeah.
Okay, Alicia?
I'm more and more excited to meet people who share the same enthusiasm and interest for feeling, for talking about emotions and communication. And this I see in Aga story, that when you meet such people, you get more excited and you say, okay, there are people in the world who also do this and who like this. That's first. And the second one, what resonates with me is I learn most from my daughter. She is already 25, but I wrote all years, wrote down what I learned from her, and that is a lot. There's a short time now to talk about it, but I share this point too.
I would like to get this opportunity for the second time because I raised my kids, but now I have these grandkids, and many times I think, how can I integrate NVC in just being with these kids? Sometimes it works, but many times it doesn't. And maybe I made 2 hand puppets myself maybe I should take them to the IIT and figure out if I can get some skills from you, Aga, to do this with these little ones. Well, I'll find out.
You're absolutely welcome, Kirin. And I also want to tell you that while we do have some sessions that we like to offer as trainers, you are welcome to ask for sessions on topics that you're interested in. So you can also come thinking, this is what I want to learn, and you can ask for it. And there are very high chances that it will happen. I'm happy to start with sharing what I mean by free to feel and why free to feel and how this supports the practice of nonviolent communication. Embodiment and embodied NVC. Yeah. So when you talk about NVC practice, we talk about the intention to connect to ourselves and to connect to the other person. And we often start with observation when we talk about these, like the steps. But actually at the core, there are feelings and needs. So we connect around feelings and needs. And while when we learn NVC, we learn the words to describe feelings and needs. But actually, these are not concepts. These are lived experiences. Both feelings and the needs are lived experiences. And as lived experiences, we experience them in our bodies, through our bodies. So this was a really step-by-step process for me to start recognizing what I'm feeling, and also connecting to my needs and just noticing how the dance of feelings and needs in my body. And one thing that I found out, I guess, but maybe not everyone who's listening to us, that in NVC, we see feelings as pointers to needs. So if our need is met, or we believe it's met, then there are pleasant feelings coming up. And if our needs are not met, there are unpleasant feelings coming up. Yeah, and most of us are not particularly fond of the unpleasant feelings. Like, okay, I'm good with joy. I'm good with calm, right? I'm even good with excitement if it's not too much, maybe. But please take away all this sadness, disappointment, anger. Some people like anger, but some are like, no, thank you very much, right? But actually, first of all, the point is that we cannot numb or dial down our feelings selectively. It's almost as if we have this one big dial and we can dial everything down up until the point that we don't feel, or it's like there's everything. So I started to explore, I wanted to have everything because I have a sense that through feelings, we can experience our aliveness and also the aliveness of the other person. But I started to wonder, how to do that I start feeling safe with what I feel. And I have this metaphor that I always use when I talk about feelings. And this is a metaphor of a garden hose, right? Because, by the way, like in English, I love English for that. When we talk about maybe emotions, yeah, it's like emotion, energy in motion, yeah, because feelings, when they're experienced in our body, they are experienced as emotional energy that is moving through our body. Yeah, so this is why I like the metaphor of a garden hose. And I'd like you to think about it for a moment now. You know, when you have this garden hose and you want to water your garden and you start the water running, and let's imagine for a moment that you just do a full on. What happens?
Well, in my case, it will go like this, you know,
Yeah,
like uncontrollably, and then you have to run for it, and I'll, yeah, usually get wet myself.
exactly. You get wet, everything gets
Like,
okay. But what happens if you wait a moment?
yeah, I don't want to say anything, but yeah, I sort of get what you mean. Like, the thing is like running, and sort of stabilizes itself.
Exactly, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is what I found out is true with all emotions. Yeah, so that when they come in with intensity, the first moment is challenging because it's exactly how you said, Winifred. It's like splashing all over, and then some of us will tense up, you know, and try to squeeze it all in. Some of us will lash out at whoever is there that we can lash out at, and we have, you know, all sorts of strategies. And even, I tell you, NVC can be such a strategy. Like, oh my God, what am I needing? What am I needing? Okay, what is my request? This is my request. Okay, we go for it. It's like, you know, having this hot potato, whatever strategy we can get to run from this, what we're feeling. But actually, we can learn to feel safe, you know, like hold this garden hose maybe a little stronger so that it doesn't fly out of our hands. So it's something like being present with this that's happening, but without tensing up too much. And then learning to wait until it stabilizes. And then there is time to really tune in and figure out, what is this life energy about? Yeah. What am I longing for? What am I needing? Or maybe I have some thoughts. I have my jackal show that is fueling this. But in order to orient myself, I really need to first and foremost be able to just stay present and allow. And what I found out is that with a practice, and during the IAT, I will be sharing a very specific practice on how to do that. So I found out that with practice, you start to have not only gardening hose, but a fire hose, you know, way bigger, and then maybe bigger and bigger container. So the intensity that was initially really frightening starts to be very easy. And then you have way more capacity to experience life. And what's more, what I found out is that when you befriend your feelings, when you start to understand how your feelings work, all sorts of feelings, they start to be pleasant. There can be great pleasure in release of sadness. It's like really letting go. It's soft, it's beautiful. Yeah. Even grief, it can be like it's deep. Yeah, it's swelling up. And there's something very profoundly humane about being able to experience grief. Yeah. Or anger, some of us will block it, and some of us experience anger as, you know, something to throw at. But actually, what I found is that when we're able to stay present with our anger and show ourselves, anger helps to show ourselves, this is important, I care about it. Yeah. It becomes a very honorable feeling, and it brings great clarity, and it can also support your grounding, you know, it can support you staying behind what truly matters to you. And this is true for all the emotions, actually, as you start to dive into them. And through that, the needs. So then life becomes so juicy. One thing, yeah? And there may be different beliefs related to feelings and how feelings are dangerous or, you know, unmanly when I think about guys. But it's also about learning that it's not dangerous, like in our system, that it's okay to experience it.
I asked in first session, or I told in first session that I learned from communication a big space between action, which happened around you, and your reaction. I found new freedom.
Yes.
And a big space, but this space, when come your emotion, is mostly very small because you don't control, and then it's over. Then you lose possibility to experience this space. And I'm wondering how you can make it bigger and bigger. Of course, one of possibilities is to stay, to be present, to give your this space, but it's not so easy. And that is why I wonder how you experience, how you do this, how you learn this, to make this space to be present and to listen to yourself, to communicate with your own feelings, to experience your feelings and your reaction. How to make this bigger?
Yes. Thank you for this question. It's a very precious one. And my first response is you take your time. Because actually, when we are in intense emotions, what I found out, there's often a time pressure, you know, like, oh, this is happening, I have to respond, I have to know what I'm saying, and I should be peaceful, you know, all of that. So whenever you notice that you have this time pressure, I encourage you to check, is it real or is it a thought that it has to be done now? Because most often there is a way, like I can imagine just saying, I'm triggered now, I'll get back to you, you know, or I need to go to the bathroom. You know, like buy some time. And then when there is no inner pressure to be quick, it's way easier to be present with whatever is happening and become aware. Oh, this is what I'm experiencing. Oh, I have these thoughts. Oh, okay. So it starts to, you know, spiral up. And just as you said, it's about being aware, and it doesn't happen like that. It doesn't happen overnight. So it requires practice. And so with more intense feelings, you know, sometimes we wake up, become aware, I don't know, maybe next day or maybe after an hour. Yes?
One small question. I tried already, and different ways. When you write something is possible, then I write, I have time, I need time to react. I hear you, but I need time. But if somebody is also with a big emotion, then my way was to be silent a moment, to think what I want to say. And then the other person say, and now you are saying nothing. And what you mean? I say, no, I'm thinking. Thinking? What about thinking? This was not so easy. Yeah.
So I want to acknowledge, this is exactly what happens, right? That life is not stopping because we need to think. Yeah, and the other person is just like, what are you thinking about? Tell me, I need an answer. It just gets more and more intense. Yeah. So again, with this, there are, I don't know, different pathways. So when emotions are intense, it's often not easy to make agreements. But if it's a relationship, like a continuous relationship, you can make an agreement outside of a heated discussion and clarify, when it gets intense, you really need some space to figure out what's going on for you. And maybe you even need to step out to a different room for a moment, and you will come back, and you can have like a word that you use to say, okay, this moment. Yeah, it can be a pigeon or something, something ridiculous, just so that this person knows this is what's happening for me, this is what I'm going to do, and I will come back to you, because it's very painful when someone is like in the middle of things and the other person disappears. Yeah. So that there is this understanding and a trust can start to be built.
So let's see what's alive by others. How does it resonate for you, Esther? You want to say something?
Yeah, it resonates for me. All you're talking about, like a sort of longing how to express myself. And I think this is a way that works. And I'm listening to what you're talking about investigation of how it works for yourself. And I'm curious how this is working out during the course, the 9 days, the workshops. It sounds then for me like workshops, you're getting a lot of information, where you're going to experiments, or do you do exploring as well? So can you tell a bit about that?
Absolutely, yes. So for instance, during a workshop, I would start with a story like the one that I just shared. And then I would invite you into a practice where you could have an embodied experience, how to be present with your emotional states and with your thoughts. Yeah. And this is actually a practice that I will offer it for sure. I always offer it because it's one of my basic practices that have supported me with emotions of immense intensity. I remember once where I was triggered and I felt rage, like really I could demolish,
Yeah.
And I managed to stay present with this. And I didn't hurt nobody. I didn't hurt me. And when the first wave moved, I was very clear and very communicative. I had access to everything, all my practice. So this is one practice that I was sharing with you. Another practice that we would be doing, because this first one, it's like a ground practice that you can do at any time. Another practice, and this also speaks to what you asked, Alicia, is a type of intensity practice. So when we look at these moments, when we get triggered, something happens and we have this emotional reaction and difficulty to stay present. It often is that the triggers are similar, or they're pointing to a similar place in us. It may be, I'm being disrespected. This is not happening. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I don't know, they're judging me. I have to defend myself. Anything like that, So you would, during the IAT, at the workshop, you would pick such trigger and you would put it into a practice situation with practice buddies. And in case of practices that I'm offering, it's mostly about experiencing and little about talking. So you can really allow yourself to experience this, what's going on for you. And you're able to, it's actually related to how our nervous system works. So the practices of stimulating your nervous system, then by connecting to your body and connecting to your needs in particular way, also through body, your nervous system goes to relaxed state again.
I understand.
And this is something that stays with you and stays with your system, because actually with triggers, it often is that it's like we end up in this heightened state, and then there is another one and another one, and there's no resolution.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in the practice, we are able to find resolution on the bodily level. So next time it happens, you have more capacity to access the whole, how do you call it? Like the whole process. Yeah.
Yeah.
And at some point, this is also something that I noticed. At some point, the other person may do something that used to trigger you, and you find yourself just curious, like completely openly curious, what's going on? Yeah, like you don't have to fight the trigger, fight the reaction. There's no reaction. It's just like, okay, something is up for this person. She's screaming and she's blaming me, but what's going on? What's hurting you?
You don't need to defend yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not because you know something of nonviolent communication. It becomes embodied.
In 9 days?
No.
Oh, that's a pity.
That's a pity. I agree. It's a pity. But within these 9 days, you can collect, you collect experiences and practices. And what I found is it's so beautiful that with each day we open up a little more. So even though the sessions are quite short, it's not like attending a 2-hour session from home, because the sessions build on each other. And, people in my sessions had the most transformative experiences within the 2 hours, because they came in very open, receptive, and it was like, okay, we're diving straight in. But it's all practice.
Yeah.
So then you need to practice again and again and again.
Yeah.
There is still some hope.
Oh, yes.
Always hope. Yeah.